I graduate and like right afterwards, like everything goes to like madness.
Yeah. So did you graduate in 2015?
2015, yeah.
What did you study?
I studied marketing.
I did too.
I picked this up.
Nice. Yeah, I studied marketing too. I just kind of discovered tech. I used to work in logistics, so I think that a lot of people I meet do not like start in technology. They like come from different things, or they like have different backgrounds, which I think is great. I think it like gives you different skills and it helps expand like roles within your career.
I did a year in supply chain management.
Oh, cool! Yeah, I studied business process management, which is basically the same thing, but.
I was doing demand forecasting specifically.
Okay. Yeah. Did you not like it, or?
I loved it. It was one of my favorite jobs that I was at Dell for 6.5 years, and I had 4 different jobs there.
Okay.
That was my favorite job that I had at Dell. But then I had the opportunity to take a voluntary separation package and pursue my dream of being a full-time stage manager of musical theater,
Nice.
which I tried for a while and enjoyed.
Did you do that?
Well, I did it on the side for many years, and then for a little while I was trying to kind of go more full-time, knowing the fact that I would have to pick up a day job. And I did pick up a day job after only about 8 months or so. I picked up a day job.
Yeah.
And then realized that I missed more of the day job stuff and went back to that. So, but yeah, I did musical theater for 14 years on the side.
That's pretty awesome. Is there, like, do you have, like, I guess when you go to bigger cities, I don't think Austin has that many, like, I guess plays or anything.
There's a bunch of stuff around town.
There is?
Yeah. I was at the Zoka Summer Musical. Down at Zoka Park, there's a free summer musical.
I didn't know about that.
Huge. We get about 3,000 people out there every night
Wow, that's a lot.
for 6 weeks.
So that's kind of like the movies thing and the music thing, but it's just like a,
Yeah, it's kind of like Blues on the Green, but a
Okay.
smaller scale. It's down at the stage.
okay.
Yeah.
Are you guys like affiliated with like the Shakespeare in the Park people or
It's a different company.
Okay.
I know them, and we share a lot of the same resources, but it's a different company. We're a much larger scale production. Like if you go to see their shows, like our sets are like our budget is bigger, our sets are bigger. You know, like it's just a bigger. It's the same stage, but we do a bigger production, more extravagant production. Yeah. But yeah, they just opened, I think, or they're about to open. They're doing Comedy Nerves this year.
I say we give people a few more minutes. This is, 3 people at this meetup is very unlike it is ever. I don't think I've ever seen only 3 people. I mean, you put YouTube, but we'll just give everyone a few more minutes. Hopefully everyone at RSVP shows up.
There were like 20 that RSVP'd.
Yeah, there were. And there's usually like, I know there's some people that RSVP and don't come, but
Like habitually.
yeah, but
Cool. I RSVP to the conference and talk as well.
yeah. Yeah. But I'd say there's always at least 15 people here. I don't think I've ever seen it this slow, but I guess the other talk would make sense.
A few times I've seen maybe 10 in the early
I think we do notice, I don't know if we actually have, I'm sure we have data, but I don't know exact data, but I think that once it starts getting warmer or holidays come, like we see a drop.
It's a beautiful day.
Yeah.
And tomorrow's supposed to get hotter, so.
Yeah.
The ones that are lost in November or December.
Yeah, those months, typically tend to be lower. One, it's colder, well, it's cold here in Austin.
What is cold for Austin? You're cold.
I think that
It's not what
like,
you consider cold.
yeah, it's definitely not. But it does get down, sometimes we'll get down to 20, but that's, I think, very rare. I think it's mainly like 30, 35.
It snowed a couple times.
We have one
Does
ice
it
storm
snow?
every other year.
Really?
Not like just the city.
Mm-hmm. But Boston is a ton of snow, right?
Yeah, I'm freezing.
Yeah.
Like
There was one year that like everything was canceled because it was 30 degrees out.
here.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, we go to work unless we literally physically can't because there's too much snow.
They thought that it was going to
Yeah,
rain
the
and
hype
it was
was-
going, and everything was going to ice over.
Yeah.
So they just kind of prematurely canceled
Yeah.
everything because the last time they had failed to cancel anything. So then they overcompensated.
Yeah, my parents live out in Washington, and this year they had like a ton of snow up until like late February, which is really unheard of. And they never would, when I was in high school, they would never cancel class, and they canceled class like 9 times. And it's like, that's gotta be the best feeling as a senior, like you don't have to make those days up, and you're like checked out, you already know where you're going to college, or you're picking colleges,
Right.
it's like, I felt so jealous. Well, there was a group of people that signed up, but I think you're the only one here. Which is rather unfortunate.
Hard to, I think Matthew's.
Is there like a water fountain or something?
Yeah, it's just out there. Yeah, I think you're the only one that signed up that's here. Anna's not here.
Amigos?
Did you sign me?
I think so.
Oh, no, not to talk. Oh,
Yeah.
No.
Sorry, no,
Just to
a
show
different
off.
Hannah,
Oh,
yeah.
okay.
And then Tara is not here.
So people signed up to talk and didn't show up?
Yeah.
Yeah. That's like a whole nother level of delinquency. Flakiness.
All right, let's give them 2 more minutes and then we can just start. I'm sorry.
There's another thing up there,
The Ruby.
no, it's actually the Taiwanese, like, startup channel, which are both Taiwanese, so.
I thought she was with us. She was just like, "Where's the meetup?" And I was just like, "We're making code," and she's like, "No." I was like,
Oh, I
Sorry.
See, we're really good, like, cause I have one and you have the other.
Yeah.
modeling, love it.
It's like an ergonomic group for your phone.
And
I
then
see
you can
that
also like
Yeah,
Prop
and
it.
you can
Oh,
take
yeah.
like selfies with it, like.
do that.
Oh.
Watch videos.
I honestly, I mean, I like don't know what I would do without mine.
Is it suction, so you can take it off?
It's like an adhesive, but if you like run water on it, it will like unstick and then you can like wet it and let it dry and then it'll re-stick.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
I haven't seen those.
This thing changed my life.
Right.
You have everything you need on you. I don't carry a wallet. So
Yeah, I have a friend that does that. She
Yeah.
does not carry a
I have my ID and then I have my debit card and that's it.
That's really all you, I mean, on an
Yeah.
average day, all you.
Yeah.
Right.
I moved downtown when I started this job, so I live 3 blocks from the office, so I walk to work every day.
Yeah.
And so I'm really conscious about what I'm carrying because I have to carry it around with me all day. It's different than, you know, in a car and having
Yeah,
it
like
like,
in purse or.
and so having this and being able to take my wallet out and not carry my wallet is a huge difference. I'm still carrying an umbrella because I melt when it rains.
before we get started. Hopefully you guys eat lots of food. There's way too much here. But I was thinking, since it's such a small group, we can go around, introduce ourselves, and say a little bit about how we got into tech or where we fall within the tech realm. I guess I can go first. Hello, my name is Ophelia. I have been with Women Who Code for almost 2 years. I moved here in the end of May of 2015. I actually started in, oh, come on in. Hi, we just started. Feel free to eat and drink afterwards, or cookies. I started in technical support because I used to work in logistics, so I was trying to find a job, and at that point I had started teaching myself how to code at home, and so I did that for 6 months, and through the network I met at Women Who Code, I was a bunch of people I knew say hey, you should apply for this job or that job. And the job I currently have, I got because my friend had my resume and she just forwarded it on to someone. And they were hey, we want to hire you. I was okay, I don't know what this is, but so I started doing QA. So I'm doing a very non-traditional path, or non-traditional path to development, and I actually really enjoy QA. There's different realms of, instead of just fixing bugs, it's you get to find bugs, and there is automation is huge, and so you get to do a little bit of both, which I've come to enjoy. But that's currently what I do. Do you want to go next?
Okay, yeah. My name is Didia, and I am super new to tech. I graduated from UT back in 2015, and then I, pretty soon afterwards, I got an internship at IBM, and I was working on a software patent team. And so they would come to me and they'd be oh, okay, we're making this thing, and they'd keep going on about it, and I'd have I would have no idea what they're talking about basically, and I would have to kind of learn myself what exactly they're talking about, and I would have to Google everything, and but I did have a little bit of coding experience before, and it's just SQL, that was pretty much the only thing I really learned in college. And so little by little, I started getting learning all this tech jargon that's going around, and then I started learning HTML and CSS on my own, and also a little bit of Java, and so now I'm here. So that's my foray into tech.
Hi, my name is Cece. I was a hardware engineer for the longest time, and was last year, and I said I don't want to do that anymore. I want to do software. So I actually quit my job, and I went through a coding bootcamp, and I graduated last October, and I found a job. So currently I'm working at Indeed, which is a job site, as a data engineer. So, yeah.
Do you know Tony Yu?
No, unfortunately, we are really big. So.
He just went over there.
Oh, cool. Yeah, we're hiring a lot of people, so very interested.
My name is Maria. I moved to Austin in October, and I came to your first Lightning Learning back in January, so this is the second time I've been. I studied journalism and speech communication in undergrad, and then started coding websites sort of at the end of that, but that was back in 2002. So I've been working mostly as a designer for the last, 15 years now? Jeez. And only occasionally. So the coding's always been sort of part of my job, but never the whole thing. So right now I'm a lead designer on a government contract for redoing the Job Corps website. and all of the 126 center sites. So it's mostly project management at this point. But I do want to, I find coding really interesting and challenging, so I'd like to be doing more of that, if not as my full-time job, at least as my side project.
Yeah, there are a lot of designers that I know that know how to do HTML, CSS, and some JavaScript, and I guess they call them the unicorns because they know both and like both front end and
Yeah.
design.
Yeah, that's me.
I'm Allie. I am with Athena Health. I'm a recruiter. I do specifically like university recruiting. So I come to UT at least twice a year, and I do primarily our tech teams. So and I run the internship program out of Austin and our Watertown office. So if you guys have any questions about Athena or anything, definitely reach out.
I'm Sam. I worked in aerospace for a while before doing a bunch of other stuff, but then I decided I wanted to learn how to code to build an idea I had, and so I taught myself. And then I took some time off to take care of my son, he's 2, and now I just code on the side doing personal projects and some freelance work.
Hi, my name's Lisa Philmeyer. I graduated in 2002, University of Virginia. I had a computer science degree. I always knew that I was going to be an engineer of some sort. So I took kind of a very traditional path to coding. That I went into school knowing the fact that I was going to study computer science. That's what I did, and I got a job in computer science. Started out in QA for 2 years, and 2 years of development, and a bunch of different stuff that Dell left there, like I was saying earlier, to be a full-time stage manager in musical theater, so that's where I kind of went off the rails with the traditional career path. Bounced around to a number of different things. I'm currently with Athena Health as well. I've been there for 1.5 years. If I can just tell you all a little bit about our company, it's my favorite job that I've ever had. I've worked in lots of different companies for 15 years, lots of different places and different types of jobs. And the thing that makes Athena so great is the mission and what we're doing. We're unbreaking healthcare. We're making healthcare work as it should. And it's great being a part of that. So I am currently a manager of engineering. I have a team, I have 3 teams. And I work on a software called Population Health, dealing with large populations of patients and how do we improve the health of those populations. We're solving really difficult problems. We all know that healthcare is, not the most intuitive space to work in. So there's lots of really big problems to do, and it is just a challenge every day. I still code a little bit as a manager. I'm not supposed to be writing code as my day-to-day job, right? I'm working on developing people and processes, those types of things. But I am still in that world. So we are hiring. We're hiring a lot here in Austin. We're also hiring up in Boston as well. So if you know anybody up there that's looking for a job, I have cards. Allie has information. We can get you anything in terms of if you or anybody you know is looking. We're just looking for some really great people.
What positions are you guys hiring for?
We have all sorts of, here in Austin, we do development, we mainly do R&D here in Austin. There are a couple of other things, but we have some product people that we need. Specifically here in Austin, our biggest needs are a SQL architect and mobile developers, but we hire great developers. We hire across the board. One of the things that I love about our hiring process is we don't care what language you know or what languages you've worked in before. We are not, I've been in other companies where they very much want a C#.NET developer, right? That's not what we do. We say, do you think like a developer? Do you know how to code? Do you know how to write in whatever language it is that you can write in? So if it's Java, or if it's Python, or if it's PHP, or whatever it happens to be, bring what you know, and we will, put you on the team and teach you the language. But we are looking for people that can think like developers. And that's something that I think is really special about our hiring process.
I guess just so I can share this information with our Slack group, what does the typical hiring process look like?
Yeah, we try to get it done pretty quick in terms of like process. We know obviously people are busy these days. So typically, application will come through and you do a phone screen, a phone interview with a recruiter. And then from there, depending on the level, like how senior, sometimes if you're like way more senior, they'll have you talk to one of the architects on the team for 30 minutes before coming on site. And then we typically try to keep it to one on-site interview, where you do 2 technical interviews and 2 like cultural interviews. So one's really like a resume deep dive, you get to really describe your projects and what you've worked on. And the other one's really kind of more about Athena Health, what we're doing, what projects our teams in the office are working on, and let you ask a lot of questions about what your day would maybe look like and projects that you'd be working on would be. Yeah, we're located in the Seahole Power Plant, which is pretty spectacular.
It's really amazing, yeah.
I've loved working from there the last couple of days. It's pretty amazing spot, and they've redeveloped the whole thing, and it's very cool.
So I can give you all my card too. If you want a tour, just shoot me an email and I can give you a tour. It's a really neat space.
And that's a recent, right? You guys haven't been in that.
Been in there for about 2 years. So we moved in February of 2015. We have a 15-year lease on the space. When we moved in, we had about 70 people. We're up to about 140 now. If we're not at 140 today, then we're at 140 next week because we've got 10 people starting new hire next week. And we're looking to get up to 600.
Oh wow. Within like
I mean that's a long time
Okay.
span, right?
Yeah.
It's not this
It is.
year,
Yeah.
but that was part of the agreement with the city, of hiring goals. But we are looking to hire a lot. This year we're looking to hire something like 50 developers in Austin, something like that. Yeah. So we have significant hiring goals.
wow, that's great.
Yeah.
That is really awesome. And out of curiosity, is there enough parking for 600 people? Or like, how does that situation work?
We have parking included, that the company pays for at this point. We have not heard of any plans to get rid of that, but there is parking there. There is a parking garage, underneath. If you're familiar with the Sea Home redevelopment area, there's the Trader Joe's that's right there, and there's the new Sea Home Tower that's right there, and there's a parking garage down there, and it goes a couple levels down, so. I really want the company to give it as an option to park there, such that then they could like pay me that $100 a month, right? Rather than paying the
Like an incentive.
140. Yeah. So I'd be like,
Yeah, I have a friend that does, like, if you don't take the parking, they give you money, and if you show that you exercise, they give you money, and she bikes to work every day, so it's like double.
yeah. Because I walk to work, I live
Yeah.
3 blocks away, so I'm like, come on, I'll take the money.
Right.
Stop paying it for that parking spot that I don't use.
Seriously. It's nice.
Yeah, and we are based out of Boston, Massachusetts, is where our headquarters are. So the headquarters is not here. It's out of Watertown, Massachusetts, and we have like 2,000 people up there.
Yeah, 200.
Is that the biggest office?
Yeah.
It's like a campus, so it kind of feels like, I guess, like Google asks you what you think of in like Silicon Valley or whatever. We have, I think we're in 7 or 8 buildings right now, but we own the whole campus area and we keep expanding there too.
One of the great things about the company is that we like to take old historic buildings and transform them into something new, right? So we have the power plant here, and up in Boston it's an old arsenal, is that right?
Yeah, it's an old arsenal. So the building I'm in was an artillery building. Like they have big photos of like what it used to look like when it was like an artillery building.
Or is it nice?
No, it's nice. It's kind of like Sea Home where they've like completely redone it. Some of like I think there's core principles as being like trying to be a transparent company. So it's like everything's glass. You can like see into every nook and cranny in the building, and we also have. In Atlanta, we're in an old Sears building. We're on the top 2 floors of.
It's the Ponce City Market. If you ever go to Atlanta, go to the Ponce City
Really
Market. We're up in a couple. Like they have like the first 2 floors I think are all like
retail.
Yeah, retail and food and whatnot. It's kind of, it kind of feels like a mall kind of, but I mean, it's like in this old building that's just like really cool. It's like, it feels very, there's a place out in San Diego that's kind of similar to that, that my brother took me to. I can't remember the name of it. It's on some base somewhere, or it used to be a base.
Mission Day?
I don't remember. Sorry.
It also feels
Total
like,
fail.
It's like a market in New York, it kind of feels like too.
Yeah.
It's like,
Yeah.
and then,
Yeah.
district,
Yeah.
cool stuff there.
Does anyone have any questions?
So are you guys mainly hiring for developers or?
Yeah, we, so mainly developers, we also are looking for, I think we have a couple user experience positions still open here, as well as product people, product managers, product owners. Those are kind of the three big roles here in Austin.
Where are they listed?
They are on our website.
Yeah, so athenahealth.com/careers they are. On the flyer, the website is on the bottom, and then there's like a recruiting email, or we have like cards, so definitely reach out. We can send you the direct links.
I'm gonna need a new project soon, so.
Oh, perfect.
Pretty good fit.
Yeah.
It's exciting. It's nice to go to work every day and feel like you're working towards a really good cause. Like every single one of us is a patient, and so it kind of affects everyone, which is one of my big motivators. My mom's also a practitioner, but I think it's really nice to think like every time I go to the doctor or someone who's gone to the doctor, I'm like, oh, this is what we're trying to work towards fixing, because there's a lot of issues there.
I spent a couple of years working as a consultant, and I worked in like oil and gas, and then so many years at Dell, and then I went and I worked in education for a couple of years, and I was like, oh, yeah, this is what I'm missing in my life. And so when I was looking for the new job, it was really about like the ability to do good in the world while also like working for a for-profit company such that I can make some money in my pocket. Because, I like doing good in the world, but I also like eating. Yeah. We have a really fun culture too.
Yeah.
If you come to the office, you'll see it, and you'll see the giant disco ball that we have, and we have Scotch Fridays, which is our all hands meetings on Fridays, that start with, here's some scotch, let me tell you about it, and then he talks about the company after that, so.
So, and this is with the 60 people? Or I mean, how many people?
Right now we have about 130.
130.
Yeah.
Do they do this also at the Boston office?
At the what? They don't do the same stuff there. No, I think that's actually the huge advantage of the Austin office is it's still really close knit, and Jack Zabel, who's the leader down here, is able to really get the group together. In Watertown they do a couple we do other stuff, but it's a little bit bigger. So the nice thing about that is you get to meet a lot of different people from all different parts of the company. So our sales and everything is up there too. So a lot of interaction there. But they don't have the weekly all hands meetings. They do like a weekly dev seminar where they'll get together and learn about someone else's technology and stuff like that. And they webcast it to Austin and things like that. But I think that's more of their version of let's get together every week and learn what
It
the
seems like
others
Austin's reaching their tipping point though. I mean, you can only really do all hands. Usually the number's like 120, right?
Yeah.
In the book, like you can only know everyone's name.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely getting hard to know everybody's name, yeah. We have ways, I mean, it's getting a little bit divided in terms of who your people are and whatnot, and but it's still very much a family atmosphere. We have one of my favorite things that we do is our Committee for the Advancement of Healthcare Analytics. Are you familiar with this? Which, when you spell it out, is CAHCA, and which is pronounced CACA. And it's basically our happy hour club. Right, where like we go out to a bar or somewhere, and like we have a president, and so like you go and you elect the new president, and there's like this motorcade that they have to wear and whatnot. So I mean, and there's a gavel, and they walk around the office being like, it's caca time, right? So I mean, yeah, it's hard, but we really try to make it such that everybody is included. And there's a running club, and I'm actually one of the leaders of the Women's Leadership Forum, so we have that. We have Athena Diversity Council, Gaythenistas, Athena Gives. There's all sorts of different business resource groups and ways to get involved. And I could talk about my job all day long. Like you have to cut me off.
Do tours or something? I'm like interested.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I'll give you my email, and you can absolutely come and I can show you, and it's a pretty neat place. Yeah.
Very cool.
So I just have one more question, because I know we had asked this a lot in terms of like women versus men ratio, especially like in development. What does that look like at Athena?
So I don't know overall at Athena. I know in the Austin office right now, as of today, we have 9 women developers out of 70 or so, about 70 developers. We're getting another woman developer next week, and another like 6 men developers next week. So I mean, similar in terms of ratio, you know, so it's maybe 12%. It's something that we're really looking to expand, right? It's obviously something that we care about a lot. It's part of the reason we're here, you know?
Right, yeah.
Because it's something we want to lean into. That was a big question that I asked when I was coming. You know, it's one of those things that it's like the company knows that it needs to do more work there, and has been focusing more on it.
It's so funny when you think back to like the original computer
Yeah.
coders.
Yeah, the computers, they were known as, the
Were
women,
all
they were
women,
known as
yeah.
computers, right? The people that operated the
And the
computer.
people who coded
Yeah.
when the
Yeah.
punch cards,
Yeah.
it was all women.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it was all women, and then at some point it,
Yeah.
you know, kind of switched over. Yeah.
We go to Grace Hopper, so I've been a couple times, and there's this huge bell curve that they show about like how women like dropped off after like the wars and stuff, because that's really when they went to work to do it all. And some of the men were gone, and then they kind of went back into and it's starting to go up again. But yeah, we are big investors into getting more women into technology in general. We submit all of our data to a Need of Work Institute for kind of like comparison of other companies, and this year we are actually in the leadership index. Out of 60 companies, we're in the top 20 for women in technology. So overall, so like while our Austin office is probably a little bit lower when we're working on it, to overall compared to other companies, it's obviously an industry and a problem everywhere, but it's something that like we want to be able to track and say like, are we improving, are we not, like, and pay attention to it.
The other thing that we have data on is compensation and promotion within the company, levels as well as, you know, when promotions happen. And the thing that I was actually really pleasantly surprised to find out, because I always go into everything with a chip on my shoulder, is that the women and the men of the company are at very comparable compensations in the various levels, and then the promotions happen with the same ratios going up. We don't have a lot of women that are in the upper echelons of the tech space, but some of that is just, you know, there is a pipeline issue, and so we're working on doing that. It's kind of an industry wide. But I was, like I said, I was very pleasantly surprised to realize that, you know, we are right in line with, there's no disparity there.
Is that transparent, or is it?
Yeah, we actually have like this dashboard thing, because it was you know, it became a point probably about 9 months ago that for whatever reason it bubbled up, and there were all these questions and what do we do, and so there was a task force that went out and like created this dashboard with metrics that refresh on a, you know, they continue to run these metrics every quarter or so, and so you can go to like, it's the diversity dashboard or something like that, and see how those metrics are. Like Ali said, you know, transparency is something that we really value as a company. So once we came up with those metrics and we realized that it was something we wanted to track, then it's something that's always there.
Cool. Yeah. Sounds like a great Does anyone have any other questions?
Yeah, I think it's a specific question for
Yeah.
you. So what's your experience like being in software for so long as a woman, and then how do you move to the manager position?
Yeah. You know, it's been different at different companies in terms of being a woman. When I was at the consulting role, I was there for about 2 years, and it was kind of good old Texas boys, and I really felt that I was limited as a woman, very much, that I was not paid as much as the men, that I was not given the opportunities that, you know, as the men got. And there were all these excuses around it, you know, but I really felt that it was, you know, I was this young upstart woman. I wasn't even all that young. I mean, comparatively short, but I mean, I was what, like 31, 32 at the time. You know, I had some experience under my belt, and I was like, I can do this. And I just wasn't given the opportunities. So it's been different at different places. I do think that being a woman, I always notice that I'm the only woman in the room. I just do. I honestly don't think that the men notice it.
Really?
Yeah. I think that they, because I've asked specific ones, you know, I'm like, and what guys that I really, really trust, and I don't think that they even notice the fact that I mean, part of it is kind of a blinders of it not being an issue, right? You notice when you are the only one who, whatever, right? And they just don't even notice it. Does that mean that there are not microaggressions towards me? Does that mean that there, you know, that I, you know, don't have problems with it? No, it's like, I mean, there's still problems, right? There's still things that I have to, you know, check people on, and you know, and that's always been difficult, especially when you have to check your manager on something, you know, of, you know, that thing that you just said is offensive.
Yeah.
And they have no idea, right, for the most part. You know, he's just like, well, how is that offensive? And I have to explain to him, you know, how it is. The transition to management, it took me a while to find the right opportunity. I knew that I wanted to get into management, and I had been trying to do that for a while and just not having the opportunity to do it. At Athena, because we're expanding so much, the opportunity really presented itself. I think that I am, because I'm me, not necessarily because I'm a woman, but just because I am me, I think that I'm predisposed to being a good manager, because I'm very much a people person. Whether or not some of that comes with the socialization that women get, I think that's probably part of it. That women are socialized often to be more in tune to people's feelings and needs and whatnot, and so as a manager, you know, I'm very focused on the people that report to me and what do they need and how can I kind of be a servant leader to you. There are certain things that I have struggled with as a manager. Giving constructive feedback is something that did not come naturally to me, and I have had to push myself out of my comfort zone for that. That's probably been the hardest one, telling people, you know, something that they don't want to hear, you know, in whatever way it happens to be. My boss has this great saying of, if I'm going to do one thing at work, it's my job. You know, if I'm gonna do one thing, I'm gonna do my job. Like, and so sometimes I have to, and actually I spent so long in theater, I was stage manager and producer and whatnot, and sometimes I have to pretend that I'm in a role, right? And I have to just be like, okay, this isn't Lisa that's talking, this is the manager, right? And I have to just like practice and like be that person, and I'm like, I am going to pretend that I am confident in this feedback and confident in, you know, and that I'm going to pretend that I'm a person who is firm and demanding and this is what I need, right? And that is just who I am, that's the role that I'm going to play right now. And that's worked for me. For me, it's been a pretty smooth transition. I've been pretty fortunate myself because like I took on 2 direct reports and then 1 more and then 1 more and then 1 more and then 1 more. I'm up to 7 with 2 more starting on Monday, another one starting soon. I'll be up to 13 total by about 4 or 5 months from now. So it's been a learning experience, a growing experience, but it is absolutely the role that I'm supposed to be in. I love the fact that we have, again, I'm going to talk about how amazing Athena is. We have 2 tracks once you get up into the senior levels of an individual contributor role versus an engineering manager role. And so you can move your entire career all the way up to, like, in theory, we don't have anybody that's done it yet, but in theory you can go all the way up to basically being CTO, like Chief Technology Officer, without ever managing people if that is not something that you want to do. Or you can go the other way and really focus on people and move up through the management track, right? But so you can do either one. Or you can do this one for a while and then hop over here and then do this one for a while and then hop over here, right? And so it's fungible between the two tracks. But the fact that it's two distinct tracks and you can really focus on managing while you're still in a technology space, or you can really focus on like the technology where you're still dealing with like influencing people but not having to manage people and dealing with like approving their paid time off, you know, and approving their expense reports, right, which is what we deal with over here. So, some of what we deal with over here. Everybody that's over here thinks that that's all that this is. And everybody that's over here is like, you guys have no idea. But for me, I was going up this track and I was actually really worried because I'm a technical person. I code and it's what my degree is in and I can do the technology, but I get to a point that I'm just like, I don't really care. Like I really don't want to talk about like debating the types of architecture between, you know, or like what's the difference between this database and that database and this, whatever, and I'm just like, guys, I don't care. Like, you know, I just want it to work, right? And so for me, I love the engineering management track because I can stay in that tech world and I can like still understand the tech things and talk the tech talk, but really deal with people and process, which is really what I love. That was a really long answer to your question. I'm a bit of an extrovert. I like to talk, so I will talk about things all day long. Yeah.
You remind me of one of my really good friends who is very much like you, where she's just very bubbly and loves to talk and is always so excited.
Yeah.
But
My sign language name actually is derived from the sign for excited.
really?
The sign for excited is this, right? And you put an L on it, and that's my sign language name.
But I mean, I like to hear about these experiences because these are the experiences that draw other people, like diverse sets of people to a company or to even people, because it's like, oh, I met someone named Mary and she was cool. I want to know where she works. What does she do?
Yeah.
Like, she must love where she works. And I think like when you really like put yourself out there and say, hey, I love my job and this is why I love my job, like people are gonna be like, yes, I want to be more like her, or more like that. Yeah, I want more of that.
Yeah.
So I think it's good that you're talking.
Yeah, I think it's because, you know, we don't have enough women developers.
Yeah.
We don't even have enough female managers.
Yeah.
It's even lower, and
Yeah.
we really need more examples.
Yeah.
And so I always want to hear about,
Yeah.
you know, how do you become a manager, how do you advance in your
Yeah.
career.
Of the 9 women that we currently have, and I'm including myself in one of those 9, because I'm in that world, I am the only manager of the 9 of us. There are plenty more up in Boston, but here in Austin, I am the only one. And in the Austin office, there is one woman who is more senior than me, Heather Miles.
In Austin.
In Austin. I don't know of any other woman in the office that's more senior than I am. So that's an interesting experience too, you know, in terms of like, I want a mentor, and I'm like, okay, like, what do I want out of a mentor, you know, because the one woman who we have in the office is in product, right? She's definitely not on my career path, so it's like, do I want a woman mentor? Do I want, you know, a development manager? You know, what do I want as a mentor? And then I realized that I was like, oh shoot, I should be the mentor.
Well, I'm glad you say that because like that's like one thing that like I'm trying to find right now. It's like, you know, I mean like I would love to have a women mentor, but the problem is that like looking at just some of the people that like I'm around, it's like they're either not on like a career path that I necessarily want to follow,
Yeah.
or it's just like they're only like a couple, I guess, steps above me, and like I'm looking to go like a lot. I would like to go a lot beyond that.
Yeah.
So it's kind of it's like, you know, you gotta, I mean like your mentor may not necessarily have the same experiences as you, so that kind of makes it a little bit difficult, but also like, you know, you gotta kind of work with what you got so that you can be there for like other people.
Yeah, the other thing that I always like to remember is that it doesn't have to be a woman mentor, you know, I mean, I've always kind of been like, I want a woman mentor, I want Sheryl Sandberg to be my mentor. Love Sheryl Sandberg. Yeah, there's probably a line for that one. But it doesn't have to be a woman, number one. Number two, peer mentoring is really something that is super, super valuable, you know, if you can find other people that you can talk with, you know, one of the guys that I work with is another engineering manager, he and I have weekly one-on-ones, it's not considered a mentoring thing, but I mean, it is, you know, we share experiences. I have a female coworker in the office who's in product, you know, and she's a similar level to me, and we just share stories, you know, and help each other out and encourage each other and, you know, give each other another perspective. Because she's in a different career path. So that peer mentoring is super helpful in itself. So don't rule out like the people that you have around you to be part of your kind of mentoring circle.
Yeah. Any other questions? No? Okay. Well, when she gets back, do you want to get started on your presentation?
Sure, I have,
No, you can open any of the other ones, don't worry about it. That's fine.
Okay, so I guess I'll start. So, okay, so this is a whole story. So last week, I went to the serverless conference, thanks to Women Who Code for the free tickets. That's why you guys should come here more often, go to Women Who Code activity more often, join the Slack groups because they give out free stuff. It's awesome. So, you know, after the conference, I was like, sure, I should talk about serverless. But I realized there's actually kind of a knowledge gap between me and being able to talk about serverless. So the problem is there's a lot of infrastructure that I need to know to be able to actually talk about serverless. So I was like, okay, so what is serverless about? It's actually about cloud infrastructure. So I'll just talk about cloud infrastructure to fill in the gap between me and being able to talk about serverless. So after this month's talk, next month I can do serverless. So if you're interested in serverless, come back next month. But really in general, just infrastructure in general. So the difference between cloud and not cloud is just cloud, everything is on the internet. You don't manage it yourself. So yeah, but I mean you can manage yourself if you want, but there's a lot of benefit of not managing yourself because it's not that fun to manage it. But anyways, I think it's just in general we should understand infrastructure, especially if you're like me. So I'm coming from the coding bootcamp, and like we never really do, as a new person, you never really do production level software, which means like you probably just upload your website to some Heroku or some server, and you never experience like if your site has hundreds of thousands of users like hitting your site at the same time, and now you have to try to maintain your site, and then you have to optimize for performance. So that's a lot of like I do not have any experience. I mean, I got experience at my current work, but definitely not any experience before I start this job. And I wouldn't say I'm experienced either because I'm still new to my job. So anyway, so infrastructure, this is what I'm going to talk about. So what is infrastructure really? So infrastructure is basically the hardware, the software, the network resources, and the services that you need to run your website. So hardware is easy to understand. I mean, you need to run your code in some kind of machine, some kind of computer. So that is the hardware. Network resources easy to understand too. I mean, if it's a website, then you need internet. So that's your network resources. But what is software and what is services? This is kind of hard to understand without a real example. So it arrives to my topic today is I'm going to talk about Amazon Web Services or AWS. So this is the number one infrastructure provider in the world. I think they have like half of the market share. I'm not sure. Okay, don't quote me on that. But yeah, they are the biggest infrastructure, and they are actually evaluate 33%, about 1/3 of Amazon's company value. So you think about Amazon, you think it's an online retailer, but they actually make a lot of their value is in this AWS. So AWS provides a lot of things. This is their product catalog. So they have all these things like compute, storage, database, migration, and like business productivity, like all these products. So each of these items actually have a couple, like not a couple, like each of these items can have like 2 to like 10 more products in it. So this is just the categories. So I am going to tell you a few about these products. So for compute, they have the EC2, ECS, and Lambda. So EC2 is basically just your server, your computer, pretty much. So you can run all your code in that. The problem of EC2 is you have to install your own operating system, and then you have to manage your own operating system. Basically, it's usually Linux, or sometimes it's Microsoft server on it, and then you have to manage that. And ECS, it is kind of a package. So they rent you the EC2 server. Like you don't really have a server; it's a virtual server. So it's somewhere, but you don't exactly know where it is. But ECS is EC2, but they have some of the basic infrastructure. So instead of managing your own operating system, you can deploy a Docker container on it. So you just have to worry about the packages you use in your website, and you don't have to worry about all the OS level stuff. And Lambda, which is the latest technology, the serverless technology, is basically you don't even have to worry about what package you need to use. You just have to write a function, and you put that function in their server, and that becomes kind of an endpoint. So you can just call that function remotely, and the function will do whatever you tell them to do. Basically, it's your function. So this is like basically a different level of abstraction, and it's their compute product line. So these are all their products. And storage. So storage is basically your hard drive. So S3 is a hard drive. A lot of people use S3 to store their, like if you have a website and you have like a banner picture, a lot of people will store that banner in S3. And the good thing about S3 is cheap, and it's faster than just storing on your basically your OS in your EC2 instance. And then EFS is your EC2 instance Like your EC2 instance will come with your hard disk space, and EFS is a way to actually go check what's in there. And Glacier is another one that's really for long-term storage and archive. So all these different things is interesting because for a consumer like you, for a developer like you do not. I bet they have some fundamental data structure differences. But for basically your consumer, your client, them, it's just different ways they charge you, and they have different performance. But like Glacier, I believe they charge you if you look at your data too often, they'll charge you more. So if you just dump data there, and then maybe because it's backup, you should not look at your backup that often. So if you only look at like once every year or so, like they'll charge you very low. But if you have to pull data a lot, they'll charge you a lot. And if you have to pull data a lot, then you should not use Glacier. You should use S3 because it's what it's for. So. Yeah.
Do you know the technologies that they use in terms of storage, different RAID systems or storage area networks or any of that?
No, I don't.
Okay.
I'm pretty new at this. For personally, I never really use S3. So the source I really wanted to do a serverless talk, and I tried to make a serverless app, but then I realized, wait, I have a lot of things I don't know. That's why I'm doing this. So on top of that, there's also database. So database, it's good for queries and stuff. So the difference between database and storage is storage is just for files, and databases will be, you can do queries, and it will be easier to find files. So they have the RDS is the relational database service, and you can use that with all different like MySQL database, Postgres database, and I think a bunch of, I think it's like 6 or 7 different databases that you can use with. And DynamoDB is Amazon's version of NoSQL database, so basically they're MongoDB. And Redshift is for data warehousing. So basically it's what you do, you dump a lot of data in there, and you run a lot of aggregation and run a lot of report in it. So that's kind of the difference between that and the usual relational database. So like Redshift, they were talking about petabytes, so it's gigabytes, terabytes, and petabytes. So they're talking about petabytes of data. Like that's how much data you store. So you should choose your application accordingly to what kind of things you need, and then you can choose different database. And also there's networking and delivery. So they have the CloudFront. So CloudFront is basically a content delivery service. So what happens is like when you first go to a website, you have usually there's two kinds of things your server do when you go to a website. First is you deliver static files. So this is what content delivery network does. It is like, oh, you need this picture, I'll send you this picture. Or you need this HTML file, I'll send you this HTML file. This is what content delivery, so it's what CloudFront does. And there's Route 53, so it's basically kind of a DNS server. So basically it's, so when you type like google.com, like how does the server know where google.com should go? This is the Route 53 is what that's routing that. Convert your basically your string to an IP address and route it. And there's also load balancing. So what happens is, say, usually if you are a big company, you have this website and you have thousands of users hitting your website. And you will not only have one server running, you may have multiple server running. So that load balancing is basically routing, okay, we need 500 people go there, 500 people go there, so we don't crash one website. So they have this product as well, they will redistribute it for you. So this is a whole website. So the good thing about Amazon services or any service is like you can pick and choose which products you need, and then you just buy them accordingly. So this is an example of web services, so basically a website. So website is your user coming in. You will first hit the Route 53 because user will say, oh, okay, go to Amazon.com, and will hit Route 53, and it will decide, Amazon.com, I need to send in all these HTML file and then all these JavaScript file and like pictures and stuff. These will go to S3. And then there's actual requests like, okay, I want to buy this thing. This thing actually requires the backend to process your order. So these will go through their EC2 because it's an actual calculation. And then before you go into these EC2, it actually goes through the load balancing and then distribute your traffic to the least crowded server. And then after in your database, obviously will talk to your database. Depends on what kind of database you need. So so this is a basic website. And on top of that, they still have a lot of other products like the CloudWatch, which is a famous one. So I mentioned that S3. I don't know if anyone remember, was the end of February. S3 actually went down for like a day. And then people freak out. And one of the funny thing is, so CloudWatch is monitoring services that will say, oh, this website is up and running, it's good, and then this website there's some problem with the website, it's down, and then you have the green light and the red light. So when the S3 like chaos happened, CloudWatch still shows it as green because they host the red icon in S3.
Oh,
So
that's funny.
yeah, so like it's still green because they don't have the red. So yeah, that happened. And also they have the identity management services, which I believe you kind of need. At least that's what like the brief.
That in CSS instead of letting it be an image.
Well, yeah. But yeah, like I believe you kind of need for all your website because you have to define who can get to your website and stuff like that. And Beanstalk, it's you can deploy it through Beanstalk, so you don't have to do command line and all that. So it will just make things easier. And on top of that, I have also like really cool services. Like Conecto is basically your sign in and sign up thing. I don't know if you guys use Auth0, so it's basically a service to make sign in, because a lot of like authentication is actually a very complicated process. I did a talk about it, but like it is really complicated, and then you don't want to do that yourself. It's better for other people to do it for you. Use some, especially if you're a smaller company, you don't want to do it because you want something that's proven proven secure. Like you don't want to do it because if you're not a security expert, you are bound to miss something. So that's Cognito, and there's SES is basically a simple email service. It's basically you can send your email to other people. And Poly, which is really cool, it's a text-to-speech AI. So obviously, you can input a text and it will generate MP3 and then just read the text. But on top of that, there's some cool things like if you input like, oh, today's temperature is 75 F. It will actually read today's temperature is 75 degrees Fahrenheit. So it has some of these AI elements in it. So so that's all I have, but they have a lot more services on there. So you can go check at aws.amazon.com. But at the same time, I'm not a salesperson. I'm not a sales representative for Amazon. So there's actually a lot of different companies. They also provide similar services. Like obviously Google is one. You can go to cloud.google.com. They have very similar services. And also Microsoft actually is, I think, is the second to the biggest infrastructure provider. So Amazon is the first, I believe. Microsoft Azure is second, and I think Google is third, but also IBM is pretty big too. So so check them out. I think it's interesting, and I think the good thing, like the main point I want to make on this talk is there's a lot of infrastructure out there, and even like storage is different kinds of storage. It's not like there's one kind, and there's a lot of different kind of database. It's very annoying, I agree, to define like what I'm gonna use this, what not this. But it's good to know it's out there, and it's good to know some things exist. So if you need them, if you need this better performance, you know where to look for. So yeah, that's my talk today. Questions and feedbacks, and if you want serverless, I'll talk about it next month.
The guys in Silicon Valley are using AWS.
Yeah.
The show on HBO.
Yeah.
Sorry, they mentioned it in the last episode.
We use AWS.
Oh, we do too, actually.
Yeah, pretty much most of the company use. Actually, like my company doesn't use AWS, which is pretty rare. So, yeah. Actually, we use S3, so we don't use it EC2.
What motivated you to want to go to serverless comp?
Maybe. So they have a tech panel. I think it was last Tuesday. So I went, and it seems really interesting. So basically, the whole idea of serverless is, which I kind of agree about this whole cloud movement. I think it's extreme of the cloud movement. The whole thing about cloud movement is, so back long time ago. You need to have your own server. You need to have, usually people have this server on the corner of their offices. I did not been through that time, as my husband said that. So they have the server on the corner of their offices. They have to maintain it, make sure it has power, make sure it doesn't overheat and all that. And then why are you doing this yourself? Because it actually takes a lot of time and effort, because you have to be on call. If a server's down in the middle of the night, you have to get up and then go fix it. So now Amazon obviously has all these extra power, computing power. So they're like, okay, let's rent this out. Sometimes not that many people use. We have extra power, so we just rent this out. So, and if you think about it, renting out, it's very smart because your website usually you don't have the same amount of traffic at all times. There's usually, for example, Amazon, I bet they have a lot of traffic during Thanksgiving, right? They have Black Friday, it's peak. But other than Black Friday, they don't need that. So the good thing, a lot of the good thing is that you pay how much you use. So there's a lot of pricing models. So I bet there's sometimes you just buy, okay, I need this much power, I need this time, I'll pay the fixed fee. But a lot of time, you can pay how much you use, and that is what serverless or the AWS Lambda, AWS is called Lambda, I believe. Google is just called Google Function. So all these you just pay by how many times you use it. So if you call it once, I think it's 0.0002 cents, and so you just pay by how much you. So on the long run, you actually save. You can save money, depends on your application. You can save money. And I think this really makes a lot of sense, and I do think it's the future of computing. Why are you having your own infrastructure? There's cases that you want to use your own infrastructure, but most of the time I don't think people need your own infrastructure. And if you don't need to maintain your server, why do you have to maintain your own operation system? You don't. And that's why people move to Docker. But then it's why do you even have to maintain your own Docker? No, I just want my function to work. So I do think this is the future. I think it's very interesting. I went to the conference. I do think it's still kind of in the early stage. There's a lot of kinks that still need to be fixed. But yeah, I think just good to be on bleeding edge. Yeah.
I went to a conference last week, a different conference, and one of the talks it was a Rails conference, but the guys did a thing of having Polly. They programmed Polly to talk to Alexa.
Oh.
So then they had this chat room that they developed in Rails, but then with the chat room, depending on what they typed, they would have then through Polly have Alexa say something without you having to activate Alexa. It was pretty cool. I have no idea how to do it. But
yeah. There's especially there's another good point that there's a lot of services like Polly, or I bet that there are a bunch they have a bunch of AI, which is really cool. So all these services, if you're using if you use Lambda or you use this Google function, it's I think it's a lot easier to integrate with them. So like you don't have to write that yourself now. Yeah. So one of the things I really want to try is so Alexa, they call it Alexa skill. So it's basically a Lambda function. So you write this Lambda, and then when you Alexa, and then ask Alexa a question, it will actually call that Lambda function. So that is like the easiest way to actually have an Alexa app, a service app, or and you can publish your Alexa skill. Yeah. So I just bought my Alexa. I hope I can program something, and then I'll talk about it next month.
Does anyone have any questions? No? Does anyone have any other questions or comments that you guys want to mention outside of Cece's talk or anything else?
Just kind of like in general, like do you have these talks every month? Or
Yeah, we have them the first full week of every month. So if the first falls on like a Monday, it'd be that Monday, but it's the first full week. But yeah, they're every month, and anyone can sign up to talk. It doesn't necessarily have to be about technology. If you want to talk just to practice public speaking, or you want to say, hey, I had this experience, like, and we can talk about it, or I know that, I mean, it wasn't a lightning talk, but Cece at one point was talking about like what job she should take, and like, you know, so it's like, what we are trying to create is just like a community where people feel welcome and comfortable. And so if there's like anything that is bothering you, or anything that you want to say like, hey, I want support, or you just want to be congratulated, or anything, because I think everyone should be applauded, I would say come here. And I know it's really scary to get up there and talk. I remember when I moved here 2 years ago, one of the organizers then, she's like, yeah, you should talk about how you got a job here in less than a month after moving in tech. And I'm like, really? She's like, yeah, you should do it. So I did, and I was nervous, but I got up there and talked, and I rambled on for probably way too long, but it, it makes you feel good. Like, you leave on this high and said like, well, people were listening, people asking questions, people said, hey, good job, I'm proud of you, and it's just like, oh, you kind of feel like you have new friends, and that's what happens, like you connect with someone, or if you see someone at an event, it's just like a less scary, because typically the events, a lot of tech events are like male dominated, which it takes a lot of courage to go out there and put yourself out there when you have people making like these insensitive comments, when most of the time, I do think that men just don't really get it. Not that there are people that are trying to be jerks, but some men just think that the world revolves around them. So that's what we're trying to create. And there's usually a ton more people here sharing their experiences.
There was a really big
JavaScript
talk tonight.
Yeah.
So we
and we have a ton of other events. There's a bunch of Ruby events. I know that there's an event that was created recently about React.
Oh yeah. Don't we have Python?
I don't know if we still have Python, but we did have Python for a while where it's like, bless you. Thank you. Yeah. But we have a ton of events, and I mean, we have hackathons in October, and those have been pretty great turnouts. So if there's something that you're looking for and you can't find and we don't offer it, let us know. Maybe we could come up with something, or we could guide you to someone who could like help, or we could say, hey, we don't do it, but this other group does. Well,
You should talk.
yeah, everyone should talk. Yeah.
Well, I appreciate that, Cece, that you just sort of like talk about something that you're learning about, as opposed to something that you know everything about.
Yeah.
Is really, like, I could do that.
Yeah. Actually, I talk about something I'm learning about. So my process is usually I got something at work that I don't know, and I have a spreadsheet, I'll put that into a spreadsheet, say this is possible. If I don't have time to figure it out like right away, I'll put it in a spreadsheet, and maybe I'll make it a talk out of it, and yeah.
Good spreadsheet.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, it's a really long spreadsheet. Yeah.
I should show you my book spreadsheet. It's fantastic. Now, the thing that always gives me anxiety is the audience. Like, who is the audience going to be? Because I always gear whatever talk it is for whatever audience I'm going to. Like, I start thinking about the audience, and then I think about, okay, so how do I gear it towards the audience? So I think that this is really great in terms of it being like you did, CC, of just like what you're learning about right now and what are the things that you want to talk about. And it kind of being a little bit more meeting everybody where they are, you know, and not worried about like the fact that you might have people in the room that have 20 years of experience in AWS, right? Or you might have somebody that's brand new to it, you know, but how do you do a talk that could potentially, you know, talk to everybody in that? You know, I think that's always kind of what's given me the most anxiety of like, how do I come up with a talk when I don't know who I'm gonna be talking to, you know? But so I like the fact that, you know, it's just kind of open to like, talk about what you want.
Yeah. I definitely think that if you're gonna get people to talk, it's, you love them to talk about what they want. And there has been people, there's been several times where people come and they'll get up there and talk, and you don't have to be officially signed up to talk. And that's always exciting, because it's just like, oh, we motivated someone to go up there and like give a little talk. So. Well, we have this room until 9, which is I think an hour from now, and we can stay here and mingle all you want, or I also don't want to keep you if you feel like you want to go. But feel free, please grab like the brochures and the cards.
Yeah.
Reach out to both of these ladies, and or if you know someone who's looking for a job or whatnot.
You know, someone that really loves their job and doesn't want to leave, those are the people we really want to hire.
That's an interesting statement. I never really thought of that.
Yeah, like the people that, yeah. Because if you love your job and you don't want to leave, like, I mean, it means something, right? It means, you know, it means something, right? Those are the people that, they're not the only people we want to hire, but, you know,
Right.
Especially for those experienced people, right? Especially for that SQL architect that we want. I mean, that's probably not going to be somebody that, you know, got laid off from his last job. I mean, could be, you know.
Right.
But usually it's somebody that's like, you know, been in the same place for, you know, 5 years, 6 years,
Yeah.
7 years, and like, you know, has like really in-depth experience. And it's like, no, why would I leave? And we're like, let me tell you why. So Allie did need to go. She had a bit of a personal emergency. So, but do feel free to take some stuff, and I got cards if anybody wants them. And
Yeah, I'd love to come check it out.
Absolutely.
Give you my cards.
fantastic.
Yeah, our contract ends at the end of June.
Yeah.
So I have on my calendar today actually start looking for a new job.
Awesome. Thank you.
Thank you.
Do you guys
I think
do
I had a few
QA?
at my last job.
So we currently have offsite QA over in India, but we are working on incorporating QA into individual Scrum teams. We work in agile Scrum teams, and we are moving towards a model in which the Scrum team is going to be fully responsible for its own quality. How that is going to look going forward is still something that we are trying to figure out, like each team kind of has to figure out, right?
Yeah.
There could be teams that decide that they want to have an embedded QA resource. But it's kind of going to be up to an individual team for that, right, in terms of how the team decides to do it. We're looking to, incorporate more automated testing, whether that be through unit tests or through some type of a, automation framework. JavaScript unit testing is really difficult, and we have a lot of front end. We are, a website. So how do you test that.
What text do
That's a great question. We're moving towards being a services, a platform and services company, right? So we're moving towards a model in which individual teams or groups of teams can choose their tech stack and just be, services, microservices that plug into the platform. Traditionally, if you asked me this question a year and a half ago, I would say that 90% of what we do is on a Perl tech stack. But the product that I work on is a C#.NET with Angular front end. So we do have more modern, tech stacks, but that does become kind of the, oftentimes when I say Perl, people, like, I've been at career fairs where people will literally walk away from me, as when I say Perl, they're like, oh, never mind, and they walk away. I'm like, no, come back! So yeah, we are moving towards more of a microservices base such that, there are a lot of teams that have to plug into the Perl. We touch the Perl a little bit, but we're moving away from that model such that, we have like this giant behemoth of Perl code that's all interdependent. It's like, how do we start stripping out the microservices? So it's a really interesting project to work on from a platform perspective of how do you move a giant behemoth to microservices. Microservices would be a great tech talk or great lightning talk, if somebody, well, I would encourage you guys to, if somebody wants to research it and learn about it and talk about microservices, I think that it's something that is, it's definitely a buzzword these days, and it's definitely something that, if you are able to really understand and explain what it means, you got a leg up on a lot of the competition. Cool.
Thank you for coming.
Thank you for organizing.
Feel free to take any food home because me taking this home is not going to be good. So feel free to take sandwiches, make sandwiches, cookies, chips, whatever.
I spent actually this afternoon trying to create an Alexa skill.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
So how did it go?
I'm around the restroom, I'll be right back. So, when we do our bedtime routine, when we heat up the milk, what we do is we have Alexa play either Eye of the Tiger or the Final Countdown. And then, like, towards the end of the song, the milk is done, we have to say, Alexa, Simon says, good night, Christopher, sleep well. And she will say, good night, Christopher, sleep well. So I was trying to see if I could do a skill that would kind of have you do it all. So we would say one sentence and she would do, the song. And then. So I got her to say, good night, Christopher, sleep well, which sounded a little better. But now I'm trying to figure out how to integrate the song and the lambda.
Yeah, I think they were saying, I haven't got that answer, I just Googled it.
Yeah.
So I haven't got it, so I haven't
But you can do a lot of it online, just playing with it.
Yeah.
Without,
Okay.
Yeah, I haven't plugged it into the real, it's still on
Yeah, because they say you can make the skill and you can publish it. If they publish it, they give you a T-shirt. That's my
Yeah. But even if you don't publish it, just, you can have it work in your Alexa if it is the same dev account.
Oh, okay.
So,
Yeah, it's not so fun because they were all talking about it and they're like, this is probably the easiest way to start serverless. It just sounds so cool.
yeah.
I already have a Google Home. Okay, I have to like this.
And maybe that's why there was a guy in one of the Ruby meetups. He did a lightning talk. He did, I'll create a Google Home skill, and they're not called skills.
Yeah.
In 10 minutes. And he live coded like in 10 minutes and got it working. Like it was like a Game of Thrones thing, but it's even easier to do with Google than it is. Yeah.
Yeah, I should not buy that Alexa.
No, but
Oh, it's really cool. Yeah, cool. Maybe you can talk about it next Alex.
Maybe. If you're not talking about it, I can talk
Well,
about it.
if you talk about it, I'll talk about something else. Because
Okay.
I have this long list.
Okay, so I'll do,
the Alexis film. You have to talk about it because
yeah.
then I want to talk about it.
Okay, okay, deal.
Okay, see you next month. Everybody see that.
Tweet it out. I know, start tweeting it now.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's how you get people to commit, you start tweeting out their names.
Yeah.
Okay, lunch for tomorrow.
Good plan.
Done. Yeah, please. It's always rough trying to estimate how much food you need, 'cause you don't wanna
Yeah.
run out.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
I definitely didn't wanna over order food for 5 people. But I guess it happens.
It happens.
Yeah.
Kyle Simpson.
No. Do you wanna take cookies home?
No, I'm going to happy hour.
Oh. Do you wanna take any food home?
No, I'm walking home and
No cookies?
no, it doesn't really lend itself towards
Okay.
travel.
Do you wanna take any more home?
Maybe should.
No pressure.
It was really
Nice to meet you.
Lisa.
Alright, nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you, absolutely, thank you.
Do you need help?
Oh, no, I got it. Thank you. I didn't work out today, so I can be my part of my exercise for today.
Oh, see you.
Bye. Yeah. Oh.
Oh, yeah, I did.
I'll take some too, and I can put some
Swag.
It's big things.
No, I knew somebody was gonna point that out. I don't know. We have a crane. There's a rumor that we have a zip line. There's no zip line. We have this giant crane, right, that is like from the middle of the building, and that's what our disco ball hangs off of. So I don't know what this crane zip line they're talking about is. I was gonna ask Allie, that'd be like, what is this? Yeah.
Oh, hey, Allie's in two of these pictures.
Oh, yeah.
I think they're both from Grace Hopper. Yep.
Do you guys get a lot of people who are like off-putted by the fact that you guys do like Perl? Or I know like even a year ago, like
Yeah.
people would be like, oh, I don't want to work at you know, they do
Yeah.
Perl.
Yeah.
Which I guess now I
Yeah.
didn't really know that
Yeah.
you guys were doing
Yeah.
like expanding past that.
Yeah, I mean, the product that I work on has always been a .NET product. It was a startup that was acquired. So it was originally written in C#. But yeah, I mean, it was part of the reason that I resisted for a little while. It was one of the many reasons. Part of it was the fact that it was in healthcare, and I was like, no, healthcare's bad. And then I was like, oh, you guys are doing good. Oh, okay. But yeah, we have people that really have big problems with, that think that going to Perl is going to be, in the long run, bad for their careers. You know, 'cause they're
Yeah.
thinking about what am I gonna do after this?
Right.
And, I mean, in the same way that we hire developers as opposed to hire a specific, tech stack, in my mind, I'm like,
Why does it matter?
yeah,
so much?
like,
Yeah.
shouldn't you be concerned about what you're doing, in terms of being a good developer and,
Right.
doing that and then figuring it out from there, Or, be like me and be like, well, I don't need another job, I'm gonna be here for the rest of my career. It's fantastic.
I'm just wondering, maybe I'll just take a couple more seconds.
Sure, go
Like,
ahead.
why not, like,
Bye.
So
Yeah.
long.
It's really interesting. I guess I feel pretty young, so it's like I have no idea.
Yeah,
I have no idea what I'm gonna be eating tomorrow for like
Yeah.
dinner.
yeah,
That's kind of my mentality.
Yeah.
I wonder, like, if other people like my age also think that way.
Yeah.
Or it's like as you get older, it's like, you know what, this is a pretty great company, I don't feel like I need to move, like, they're meeting my needs, they care about me as a person,
Yeah.
and I can develop myself here.
Well, I think a lot of it is, you know, can my career goals be met at this company, or can my next career goals be met at this company? You know, that's basically how I've approached every decision, is, you know, whatever my current goals are, can that goal be met here, you know? And sometimes it has been, the last couple companies, it's become be a manager, and the answer to both companies was no. And so coming into Athena, it was very much, you know, looking for a company that I could get up into management, you know, and now that I'm in management, it's like, okay, so where do I wanna go from here? Do I wanna go into, do I wanna further up, do I wanna be a senior manager? Yes, do I wanna be a director? Maybe, do I wanna go into product? Maybe, you know, like, can those goals be met at this company? And I keep going, yeah, they can, yeah, they can, yeah, they can, yeah, they can. But I am looking down the road, you know, because, I mean, one of the things was that it's hard to, like, at some point, companies tend to promote from within. Sometimes they tend to promote from within, sometimes they tend to, you know, hire from without. You know, so how do you balance that? How do you find, you know, you kind of have to, at some point, you kind of have to start looking, not just your next step, but your next step, and your next step, right?
Yeah.
So from here, like, I know my next step is senior manager. But then after that, and I've done that, you know, then I wanna be director. Can that goal, that's 2 steps down the line, can that be met here? And can 3 steps down the line be met here, right? And at some point you're thinking like, well, 1 step can be met, and 2 steps can be met, but the 3rd step can't be met. And getting to another company to go from that step 2 to that step 3 is gonna be hard, right? So maybe it's easier to switch now to a different company where all of those can be met.
That's interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I guess that is really interesting. Like, I think about a lot of like, what are my priorities in life? Like, what are my life goals? What do I want to do
Yeah,
with it?
yeah.
And it's like, and I currently work remotely, which I really love because it's
Yeah.
very flexible.
Yeah.
And there's other like things that are not flexible about my job,
Yeah.
but it's like, at least I have that.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, like, that keeps me fairly happy. Like,
Yeah.
anything else that like happens that like is kind of like a nuisance. Like,
Yeah.
well, I have this, and that's
Yeah.
like a big important part
Yeah.
of my work. And then, but then I think it's like, I mean, I'm not having kids anytime soon, but it's just like, if I got pregnant, I don't think this company would like be able to deal with it.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it's like, you know, and it's like, what happens next?
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, I can't just like be pregnant and then go to another company because,
That's not what Sheryl Sandberg says.
Well-
Sheryl Sandberg says the best time to look for a job is when you're pregnant.
I've never heard her say that. Why
Yeah,
is
she
that?
said it in her book. Well, you know, the best time, not to look for a job, but the best people to hire, like, people are often resistant to hiring. But she said, like, no, you wanna hire those people because, like, they're likely to come back, like, they're likely to want to come and prove themselves, and like,
Yeah.
that is often the time to, she talks about it in her book.
Which
in-
book
in
is
Lean
that?
In.
Okay, I haven't
Yeah.
read it.
Yeah, she talks about, you know, that being kind of a different way to look at it, of, you know, that people do get worried, they're like, oh, we're gonna hire this person, and then we're gonna have to pay for maternity, and then, you know, they're not gonna come back to work, you know? And oftentimes, you know, with the lean in mentality, it's like, no, like, a woman often in that situation wants to prove herself even more, you know?
Yeah, I do think about that because, like, sometimes I like put myself like, okay, what happens in this situation? How do I
Mhm.
prepare?
Oh, yeah, I do that too, I play out every eventuality in my mind.
And it's like, okay, well, if I got pregnant, could I go like to a different company?
Yeah.
And it's like, well, I would obviously like I want to stay at home with my child for
Yeah,
a few weeks.
Yeah.
It's like, but I'd be more motivated to go to work.
Yeah.
Because one, I want them to know that I'm committed to my work, and 2, like I want to be a good example for my child.
Yeah.
And it's like, but
yeah,
you know, and it's like I play constant scenarios
Yep.
in my mind of a variety of things.
Yeah.
And so it's really interesting to know, you know, like what goes through your mind
Yeah.
while you're.
yeah. I'm a big fan of Sheryl Sandberg's book. of Lean In. I think that it's like one of the few books that I've actually read. I'm not a reader, I listen to audiobooks a lot. It was one of the few books that I actually like read. And she is kind of a spirit animal for me. You know, there are a couple things in there that really bothered me, about, you know, how she characterized single women, which bothered me. And now that, you know, her husband died a couple of years ago, and now she's kind of looking back on, especially one of the chapters that she wrote in Lean In about, you know, one of the things that's really important is choosing the right partner, you know, now she's like, it did not occur to me how a single mother would read this, you know,
Right.
and now she's like, oh, that's really hard to read, you know, as a single mother. But there were some things in there that I was like, but for the most part, I'm like, no, like the whole mentality of Lean In and owning your career it speaks to me a lot. You know, it gave me a lot of confidence in terms of like, yeah, I mean,
It will,
just own it and be yourself, and you know. The other thing that Athena's great about, again, going back to how much I love my job, you know, one of our phrases is bring your whole self to work, one of our key sayings, you know, and it is really about like being your authentic self at work. And so like I can go in and I'm a goofball, like I sing show tunes in meetings all the time, right? And like the ability for me to like be my authentic self all of the time and still like, and it be something that actually like adds to my career as opposed to like holding me back, whereas I've always felt like I have to like fit into this very like specific portrayal of what does it mean to be a manager. To be a manager, you have to be authoritative and you have to know what you're talking about and you have to blah blah blah. And I'm like, shit, I'm gonna be me. Like I'm gonna curse all the time and I'm gonna sing show tunes and I'm gonna like dance, and I'm gonna wear dresses to work one day and activewear to work the next day, and that's just what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna be me all the time. And the fact that you know has enhanced my career is something that is so telling to me, you know, and that idea of, you know, with a Lean In, like, you know, do it, just like go for what you want and be yourself. Lisa's talking.
No, it's good. It's good. We're getting all these like little pearls of wisdom from you.
I'm nothing if not a talker.
It's funny because, you know, I told you that you remind me of my friend.
Yeah.
She's like super extroverted.
Yeah.
And I tend to be more quiet and
Yeah.
shy, but she gets me to be more outgoing.
Yeah, yeah.
And I like being around people like that because they just like get you to like open up and talk, because it's just, I don't know, just you're like so easygoing.
Yeah.
That it's just like your vibes just like stop being so introverted, open up, more. Which I think is important in this industry, because you know you want to connect with other women because you want to say, hey, you know what, I have a pretty good job, I have a pretty good life, like you can have one too, you don't have to be so shy about it. And
well, and especially it's so much about, you know, finding things to connect with people on, you know, and asking people questions and I don't know. I've always been the type of person that, you know, I mean, I can talk to a brick wall, but I can talk to, you know, I can talk to them about myself to a brick wall, but then I can also like get really down deep into like what makes you tick, you know? And like, I mean, I can start asking questions and be like, I did this the other day with one of my girlfriends at work, and I was talking to her about what's going on with her and her daughter and her divorce and whatnot, and like, you know, an hour in, she's like, you should be a therapist. I'm like, all that I'm doing is asking you questions.
I was talking to them about something. They're like, you should really consider counseling.
Yeah.
I'm just like, why?
Yeah.
That's really, I mean, it's interesting that people like say
Yeah.
that.
Well, I mean, I've been in therapy for 7-8 years now. I think it's something that is hugely valuable, right? I mean, it has helped me become my authentic self and be, you know, I think that it is absolutely
why I am the, you know, vibrant, exciting person, and authentic person that I am today is because, you know, it has given me so much confidence. I recommend it to everybody, but having done it for so long, I also kind of see how it works, and so that's why, you know, with my girlfriend, I was able to be like, so, blah, 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 question, question. And she's like, and I'm like, I just see how it works. Yeah. Anyway. What can I help you with?
Yeah, I'll help you out too. Like I'm still here waiting on a ride, so.
I mean, I guess I need help taking it to my car.
Yeah.
You guys are okay with that?
Yeah.
It's okay if we leave our stuff here, right? Like, I mean, there's actually, I don't know.
I think it should be fine. I know
we
that
have it until 9, technically.
Right, yeah.
Okay.
Well, thank you guys for helping.
Yeah, I'll definitely call you up, actually. I don't know if you should be a recruiter maybe too as well, like a therapist and a recruiter. You've like sold, like, I think almost everybody here.
So he used this box to carry the stuff in this way.
They usually bring bags.
They were trying to recycle.
Yeah.
Which makes sense.
Nope.
No, one of them doesn't. Okay.
Are you walking home?
I'm, biking. I'm grabbing a bike.
Do you have interest in taking these home?
No, I'm good, thank you.
Okay.
I have about 50 bottles at home.
Okay.
So the summer
Do
of
you want to
2013.
No.
Summer of 2013, to tell you even more inside until Lisa's like, Lisa's like, I took the entire summer off of work and I traveled around the country for 4 months. So I was gone for 115 days and I went to 112 wineries.
Wow.
Yeah.
So it was like almost a winery a day.
Yeah.
Or did you go to like several?
There was one day I went to 9.
Wow. That sounds great.
And I kept a wine tasting journal. I made this wine tasting journal for myself and I kept all my tasting notes. And then I came back home and like analyzed all the data and picked of the 112 that I'd been to, I picked 4 and joined their wine clubs. And so now I get shipments of wine all the time. So I keep about like 30 to 40 bottles at home, regular basis.
On any given day?
Yeah, I'm a bit high right now.
Wow.
And yes, trying to get healthy, so I had my 1 glass of wine. I'm done for today.
Okay, one is plenty sometimes.
More than enough.
One of my neighbor, I like drink wine, I like to drink with dinner, but she'll like come over sometimes and she'll bring like a bottle of wine and she's always drinking wine. I was just like, I wish I had your like wine spirit. Like where you just like constantly drink wine.
I have wine all the time,
Yeah.
all the time. At the office too.
Do you got that?
Yeah, I think so.
We have a wine library.
Oh really? Oh well. So how is that?
Well, we have a beer fridge.
With you. Yeah, I'd love to. doing?
I want the best facilities.
none of them came along, but I hired new people here.
Okay. That's like years.
Yeah, neuroscientists.
How many people have you done?
4 of us. Yeah.
Where do you usually eat?
For lunch. Buffet downstairs if I have time to go to lunch. The hotel buffet? Always for breakfast and lunch, but if you work in the building, you get a to-go box. And it's $5 a pound, and we get 25% off, and it's dirt cheap. Almost everyone here goes to that. Yeah. Depends on how much stuff you take. I usually end up spending like $3-4.
Yeah.
When I get like to meet to have it. I go in the, more often I'm here early so I go for breakfast. And we have an omelet bar. It's like a $30 buffet, but you end up walking up for $5 with like a nice omelet and potatoes and anything else you take. It's good. If you're here in the morning. You're only here at night though, right? What are you doing today? School?
No, I just do right off.
Oh, okay. Cool. With what? UT? So what's the master plan? Okay, what's the real master plan? So figure it out?
Do have salary.
You like me now?
I like this place.
Yeah. So do you want a full-time position here? Okay. Doing what? Same thing?
No,
Yeah.
when the first one opens up,
Yeah. I'm sure the position's opening up down there.
but it's, yeah, that's the bonus.
And Danny is the first floor Molly, right? That's what she's gonna do?
Yeah, doing for the wallet,
Okay.
and we're hiring
For up here? For when? Oh, to switch with Molly?
yeah, well, no, Molly's not gonna be better.
Oh, what's Molly over here? Oh, okay. Cool. She's gonna promote it.
Yeah.
Cool.
Which sucks though, 'cause, like, who doesn't like
Yeah, seriously. It's okay, you'll always be night Molly. Yeah. It's an honor, right?
My experience working, actually it's not, I figured the candy would kind of like deceive people, like, oh, I can have this like nice healthy fruit next to candy. Still would be candy.
Yeah.
It's not even
happening, right?